I'd like to call the meeting to order. Would you call the roll, please, Mr. Castaher?
Yes. Mr. Kleinfelder?
Present.
Mr. Beckman?
Present.
Mr. Gunther?
Present.
Mrs. Webb?
Here.
Mr. Young?
Here. This time, would everyone please stand and join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Dr. Rice, would you like to review the agenda for us, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Pretty standard agenda this evening. After we review the agenda, approve the agenda, and look at minutes from previous board meetings, I will have a few items for board discussion, including policy. We will be officially caught up with policy after tonight. Isn't that exciting? Yeah. We'll have our committees and Legislative Butler Tech report. We have a section for public comments, superintendent reports and recommendations, where we'll look at personnel. We will discuss the policy that we you will take action on the policy that we discussed in December. We do have a new job description in front of the board this evening. Field trip approval to Washington, D.C., and then the much talked about school calendars. And then I'll turn it over to Mr. Castader.
Yeah, 3 items under the treasurer section tonight. We do have one then and now for your approval, and then our normal monthly reports, the Red Tree investment summary, our cash summary, and general fund report.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, we call the roll, please.
Yes. Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Gunther?
Yes.
Mr. Beckman?
Yes.
Mr. Kleinfelder?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes, the agenda is approved. Next item is the review and approval of our minutes. You've had a chance to look those over, board members. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the December 19th meeting?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, would you call the roll, please, for approval of the minutes?
Yes. Mr. Kleinfelder?
Yes.
Mr. Gunther?
Yes.
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Beckman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes. Okay, and that was both for December 19th and the organizational meeting, both.
Yes.
Yes. All right, great. All right, Dr. Rice?
Yes, sir. Before I get to item 6, items for board discussion, I do want to recognize our board members, as it is Board Member Appreciation Month. I want to recognize your commitment to service for this community. Oftentimes, this is a very thankless role, but we are blessed in this district to have 5 board members who I believe wholeheartedly serve for what is best for the kids in the community. We are very, very lucky in Ross. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to express our thank you, and there's a small token of our appreciation from the district team at your table. So thank you very much for your service.
Thanks, man.
So item 6 for us under subject A, policy. We have a few items for discussion this evening. And again, after we discuss these and then vote on them next month, we should be all caught up with policy. That's pretty exciting. First 2 pieces of policy I have for you are related to each other. IGDJ, Interscholastic Athletics, and IGD, Co-Curricular Extracurricular Activities. House Bill 147 expanded the ability for students to participate in interscholastic athletic activities at a district other than the one in which they are enrolled or which they are a resident. The new provision authorizes the district superintendent of the school to permit home-educated students, a student enrolled in a community STEM non-public, or student enrolled in a different district to participate in an interscholastic athletic athlete. To participate, a student must be of the appropriate age, grade level, as determined by the district superintendent, and qualify for the school at which the student participates in interscholastic athletics. The student must also fulfill the same academic non-academic and financial requirements as any other participant. And then we've continued to talk about the changes with home education. Home education students are exempt from meeting the same academic requirements as the other students. So they always throw that in there at the end. Any questions about IGDJ or IGD? Next two items I have for you this evening are new policies. EHC involving cybersecurity, and then EDEC involving artificial intelligence. These were collaborative efforts to write these policies, specifically with the AI policy. Thank you to Ms. Doblinger, Robin, and our RMS students who were here just a short time ago. They collaborated with Ms. Doblinger on this policy as well. The goal of these policies is not to comprehensively cover both topics as they're ever-evolving topics. Rather, each policy addresses basic expectations from which additional district-level procedures can be derived. Given the rapid innovation around AI and other technologies, we will take ownership and control of these policies by developing detailed building and district-level procedures for staff and student use of AI and procedures to combat cyber attacks. While board policy is a critical safeguard for school districts, we can use this policy to guide the district's direction and set expectations. School boards are encouraged to empower their administrators to conduct the necessary research on AI and cybersecurity that will lead to effective procedures tailored to the individual districts. So there is room inside these policies for us to tailor it where we think it needs to go. Questions about EHC or EDEC?
I got something on that. So a lot of the policy talks about teachers allowing, they're going to be handed the authority to determine whether AI is used in their classroom or not. How do you intend to keep that uniform across the board, or is that just part of the, I mean, I understand most of that's going to be in the student code of, conduct book, but I'm just kind of curious on kind of the approach to being uniform from, say, one English teacher to another English teacher in the same grade.
Yeah, I think, again, this is an ever-evolving, so we're going to kind of build the plane as we fly because the kids are already using it. But one of the things that we've always done in school districts is have approved platforms that folks can use. And we publicize those. Senate Bill 29 now says that we have to make those available for our communities as well. So that will be above the fold. Everybody will know these are approved through curriculum, through the district. So they know, our employees as well, it protects them. They know when they go to these sites that they've been vetted, they're okay to be used.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Next policy we'll look at is IKF, graduation requirements. This is a revised policy. Pretty simple. It officially adds financial literacy and the teaching of capitalism in the curriculum to state graduation requirements, and we're already doing this. JFCK, use of electronic communications equipment by students. This is a revised policy. This is the one that caused the stir last summer with no cell phones, quote unquote, no cell phones. So House Bill 250 newly enacted Section C, which requires that each board adopt a policy governing the use of cell phones, cellular telephones is what they say, by students during school hours, no later than July 1st, 2025. So we're ahead of it still. The policy must emphasize that student cell phone use be limited as much as possible during the school hours, reduce cell phone-related distractions in classroom settings, and permit students to use cell phones or other electronic communication devices for students learning or to monitor or address a health concern if determined appropriate by the board or if included in the student's IEP. I have worked with Mr. Salyer at the middle school, goodness, and Mr. Martin at the high school to make sure this policy is reflective of our desires, because there were some options and some choices in that policy. So the one you see in there was we collaborated with those two building principals. Any questions about JFCK? And this will be updated in our handbooks for our students this year.
And we've already been doing that, right?
We have.
And it seems to have been going pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be kids that challenge you with an earbud and things like that, but yeah, for the most part.
Good.
Next policy, JHG, reporting on child abuse and mandatory training. House Bill 47 now requires, rather than permits, so we are now required, all school districts, community schools, STEM schools, college preparatory boarding schools, and chartered non-public schools to place AEDs in each school under the board's control. We are compliant with this already. the new requirement is that all staff have to be trained on it, and we've already spoken about this. We've already got this taken care of. It'll be part of our compliancy checks that we do at the beginning of the year with our staff. Any questions about JHG? The last one I have for us this evening is KGB, Public Conduct on District Property. This is one of those ones that we probably should have caught earlier from the Auditor of State, just one that slipped through when we were going through so many different policies. It simply says you can't campaign on school grounds during school time. So, you know, people would still have the ability to wear a levy shirt or a candidate shirt at a football game because they're not under contracted time, but they couldn't do something like that during the school day. So pretty standard policy on that. Any questions on KGB? That concludes all the items I have for board discussion this evening.
Okay, and as always, just for the public's knowledge, we always do these, read through them, and then a month later, they get approved. So the ones we'll be approving later in the board meeting, we reviewed at last month's board meeting.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we do not have a legislative report tonight. We have a Butler Tech report, Mr. Kleinfeld.
Very brief one. On Tuesday, the 21st, Butler Tech had their organizational and their regular meeting combined. Mr. Guido from Monroe is the board president, and Jim Detzel from Northwest is the vice president. There was no presentations, no public participation. Probably the highlight was the airport construction site finally got their soil test passed. They're ended up moving it 15 feet to the north or something, and the soil 15 feet away was a lot better for the footers than where it was, and it's all good to go. It's not going to affect the schedule of opening, hopefully. And then yesterday we had a special board meeting from 4 to 10. We interviewed 3 internal candidates for the superintendent opening at Butler Tech, and hopefully we'll have some news on that probably early next week.
Okay. So is the airport program scheduled to start next fall?
No, the following fall.
Oh,
I think they've just leveled. They're just doing site work. They haven't even
Okay.
broke ground yet.
okay. All right, sounds good. And, all right, and now it's time for public comments. We have a request for public comment from Cynthia Wurzelbacher regarding show choir. So here's a microphone here you can use. Let's go ahead.
I'd just like to say that can you hear me? Okay. So I'd like to say, first of all, I did go through the steps. I spoke with the principal, I spoke with the teacher, I spoke with the superintendent. My granddaughter was part of show choir. Back in the spring when they joined it, she tried out.
Hold on just a minute, please. I'm having trouble hearing her. Is there any way to make her louder?
Okay.
Yeah, that's better.
I
Thanks.
just wanted to say, my granddaughter, I have custody of her. Her name is Mason. These children there's 3 of them. One's graduated and the other 2 are still in the home. But they are of the Ponca Indian tribe of Nebraska. And that is always part of their makeup. I mean, when you introduce them, that's the traditional way. What I'm saying here is that it took a lot for her to go out for show choir. She made it. She did all the work through the summer. She was participating. This DC trip, she came back very sick. I had her in the urgent care on a Sunday morning after she returned. That Sunday morning, by 11 o'clock, I had an appointment for her. She was at the doctor's again on a Tuesday, following Tuesday. The following weekend was a T camp, which they are required to go to. But at the advice of the doctors, the 2 she's seen, plus the associate doctor, they said that she shouldn't attend that particular camp. And
What time of year was this, please?
November,
No, this past November?
yes.
Okay.
So the big problem became evident whenever she's allowed to participate in 2 different things at one time. That's what we were told. So she was doing show choir and she cheers. So there was a big conflict with the cheer schedule and the show choir. And the show choir said the person that leads that said she's not going to change her schedule, even though these kids have games on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So there was a conflict. So after she came back and she didn't go to Camp T, at the doctor's advice, I'm the parent, I'm the acting parent, I said no. She was sick, very sick. So, and she had missed school that week also. The following week, a week after that camp, a week following Monday, I have the dates, but anyway, she came to school and the teacher told her that she could not participate in show choir anymore because she had broke the contract. She's 13. She didn't break a contract. That was my decision and a doctor's advice. And the doctor wrote a note. Nobody asked me for the note. Nobody contacted me. She told my granddaughter that she sent me an email. I never got an email. I didn't get anything. She talked to that child without my knowledge, put her out of the show choir for those reasons, because she said she broke the contract. Not because she wasn't doing well, but because she broke the contract. I don't see how the child broke the contract. And to talk to her without me being present or me knowing about it, and she, when I talked to the teacher, she said, well, she was okay with it. Well, she didn't say anything back. They're very quiet people, Native people are. And it is their nature not to talk back, not to say anything. This is a kid that has been called all kinds of names because they're brown. And at one time, somebody told her this was a white school. So is she going to say something back to that teacher? She's not. They're not disrespectful. They're very well-behaved kids. I'm just broken over this because that teacher took my position as a parent away. She told that child that I knew about this, and I didn't know anything about it. She told her that. And then after she put her out of the show choir, the other students came up and said, I understand you quit because you chose cheer. And that wasn't true. So I don't know what the answer is here. But then when I did talk to her, I said, if that's so, then you need to give the money back. You need to give a refund here because she doesn't get to finish it. And where's the outfit that she was measured for? Well, you can't have that. And there's no, we're not doing that. And she was fine. No, this child was not fine with it, and I'm not fine with it. I think my understanding is anytime you do something like that, whoever the coach is or whoever the administrator is over that should be talking to the parent first before they do something that detrimental in a child's life. And I'm appalled, and I'm upset about all of this. I'm upset for her because now she doesn't get to participate. She was cut off right before the pictures, all that time she spent doing that. I seen her up there on the floor. She did just as well as anybody else. And somebody said, well, you like cheer better. No, that's not true. Music is in my heart. It is part of my life and my makeup. There's pianos in my house, guitars. I sing. I've been singing for years. Music is very important. It's very important to me.
Okay.
And what happened with this child is not okay.
Can I just take a second and try to summarize what you're saying?
Yes,
And then
sir.
correct me if you think I'm misstating anything, okay?
Yes, sir.
So her interest was being in show choir and cheerleading both.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that correct? Okay. And so she tried out and made the show choir.
Yes, sir. And she made
Okay.
cheer.
And then in the fall, there was a show choir camp that was on a weekend.
Yes, sir.
And due to illness, she was not able to attend on the
Yeah.
advice. You had said you couldn't go because the doctor said she should not attend. Is that
Right.
correct?
I have a letter, and when I had her back at the doctor's office, even after that, because she had another thing, a flare-up with the ears from the original stuff, and I told the doctor that they put her on a show choir because she couldn't go that weekend, and the doctor was not. She says, that child was sick. That's not okay.
Who was the doctor you saw? Just-
Dr. Doriot, and I have a letter.
Okay. And then, as I understand it, she was dismissed from the show choir program because she, quote, broke the contract?
There's
Is
a
that
broke the
what-
contract because she didn't come that weekend to teach.
Because she didn't go to that camp?
Yes.
Okay, and that was the only reason?
That's
to
what
your
they told
knowledge?
her. That's what the director, or whatever you want to
Okay.
call her. I think she's,
So you've asked for a refund of her money, and that wasn't possible, is that correct?
nobody ever got back to me. I mentioned that to everyone I talked to. And I said, if that's going to happen, if she's going to be put out of there, then you took the money.
Okay.
And where's the money?
Okay.
You know, she
So
doesn't
what-
get to participate anymore.
Could I ask then, what remedy are you seeking
Well, I
from the
think,
district at this point?
well, I think it's inappropriate, the way the teacher handled it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's totally inappropriate. And I'm not most parents' age. This is my second time around raising children. So I have got information from other people that are around the community, because I have friends that sit on other school boards. And I said, what's the protocol? Because I don't want to be here. I don't think I should have had to come here this far. I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, these kids, they've been called foreigners, border hoppers, all kinds of things in this school.
Well,
And
let-
it's,
let's-
and
that's a separate issue, really.
yes,
from
sir,
I
it
think,
is.
from
And,
what
and,
you hear
and,
about.
and that comes, to remedy that comes with education. That
Yeah.
just comes with knowledge.
So-
It's not,
So again, what remedy are you seeking? In other words, what would you like to see happen at this
well,
point?
what do you think the appropriate thing is? I'm not sitting in your seats. I'm not an administrator here.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is, it is inappropriate for her to talk to that child without my knowledge, not find out if I receive that email, not to have conversation with me to put her out of something. Is that the way they do it in sports? I don't think so. If there's a problem, they talk with the parents before they do something like that. Till it gets,
Now, this is high school level, right?
no, she's 8th grade.
Oh, 8th grade, okay, I'm sorry, 8th grade, all right.
She's 8th grade.
Yeah, okay.
But she cheers, she's been cheering for 2 years. And we were told that she could do both of those things.
Okay.
And let me add that her grades are A's and B's. It's not like she was suffering in her
Okay,
grades.
so,
If I could, Mr. Young?
yeah, go ahead, yeah.
I would suggest that we have the building principal follow up about the uniform and the fees. I can have Mr. Saylor do that.
Yeah. So, the thing I heard you say was, you're interested in getting a refund of your money?
Well, I think that something should have been done if you're going to put them out like that after they've done all that, and you're going to keep their money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
And
well,
and
yeah,
and,
I
and
understand.
yeah, she had told me before that I signed the contract, so I owed that money whether she participated or not.
Okay.
And that's absurd.
So I was just trying to get at what remedy you were seeking. And so what I hear is you would, number one, I guess you'd like someone to review with the teacher how the thing was handled. And secondly,
Yes,
you'd like to see if you could get a refund of the money. Is that correct?
yes, and that money,
Okay.
it can't repair the damage that was done with that child that day. It cannot, because that child thought that I knew what was going on, and I didn't.
Okay.
And that undermines me as the parent.
Right. So she is still cheerleading, is that correct?
Yes, sir, she
Okay.
is.
All right, very good. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. As Dr. Rice said, he will follow up with Mr. Saylor on that. So appreciate you coming in. All right, Dr. Rice, reports and recommendations.
Yes, sir. Several items under reports and recommendations this evening. A, personnel, which are employment supplemental stipends, including leadership positions, coaches. You see a long list of spring coaches on there, club sponsors. And then resignations and retirements. I do want to do a special note for Mr. Robin Baker, who's the Director of Technology for the district. He is officially retiring at the end of this school year, and I would like to personally, I've said this to him, but personally thank him for his service to the district. We will do more of this as the year goes on. I have thanked him immensely for helping transition me into this role, but also I think he led an area that was really affected through the financial difficulties of this district, and he did so with class and with dignity. So I thank Mr. Baker for his leadership there. Point B is policy approval, as read and discussed at the December board meeting. Item C is district gifted intervention specialist job description. You may ask, why are we approving a job description for this? We have specific funds that can be used for gifted services. We are working currently with ESCs on staffing those positions, but there may be, because of the nature of those funds, there may be an opportunity down the road for us to actually hire our own gifted, as long as those funds stay, hire our own gifted intervention specialists. So we'll see if we continue to get those funds. Item D is 8th grade field trip proposal to Washington, D.C. And then item E is the 3 years of proposed calendars that we read and discussed at length at the December board meeting. Please let me know if you have any questions over A through E.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve items A through E of the president's recommendations? The superintendent's recommendations?
President, all right.
I've been watching too much of the inauguration.
Motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on any of the items? Would you call the roll, please, Mr. Castater?
Yes. Mr. Gunther?
Yes.
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Beckman?
Yes.
Mr. Kleinfelder?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes. I would like to add my congratulations to Robin Baker, who actually was part of him being hired many, many years ago. And Robin's, he's been in the district a long time, and we appreciate his service to the district very much. And thank you also to Dr. Rice for the work he did in gaining input on the school calendar. I think we all feel very good about the fact that our stakeholders had an opportunity to be heard on that. I think it's really important, and you did a great job with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, treasurer's reports and recommendations.
We have just 3 items tonight, letters A, B, and C. First one is a then and now, an invoice that was being sent from SWOCA to an email address that wasn't being monitored, so we didn't receive it during the transition from when I took over as a treasurer from Mrs. Logan. They were sending the invoice to her email, so we didn't receive it in time in order to get a purchase order and be able to pay it. Second is just our Red Tree monthly investment summary and report, and then the general fund report and cash summary for the month of December.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the treasurer's reports and recommendations, items A through C?
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, will you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mr. Kleinfelder?
Yes.
Mr. Beckman?
Yes.
Mr. Gunther?
Yes.
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes. Do we have any board committee reports this evening? No? All right. Thank you very much for the recognition of the board members. Dr. Rice, we appreciate that very much. This time we'll entertain a motion for executive session to prepare for, conduct, review negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation, other terms and conditions of their employment, and the employment of public employees. Do we have a motion for that executive session?
I'll motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Call the roll, please.
Yes. Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Beckman?
Yes.
Mr. Kleinfelder?
Yes.
Mr. Gunther?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes. The board will adjourn following the executive session, and will take no further action. Thank you very much.